Hello. In this video, I want to introduce you to the main elements of the Filmora software and show you how to work with them. We install and open the software, then click on New Project. First, we need to import the video we want to edit into the software from this section. Please note that I'm using version 13 of Filmora. If your version is lower than version 13, the appearance might be a bit different, but the general structure of the software is the same and there won't be much difference. So I will go ahead and import my video from this section. I select one of these videos and import it into the software. If your video file is large, the software will ask you if you want to create a proxy file so it can handle the video more quickly. Basically, it creates a lower resolution file. The software works with that file. You see that file? When it's time to export, it uses the original main file and gives you a high quality output. So I usually select this option as one because the video I just imported is a bit large. So I wanted to create a proxy file for me. Just one thing you need to pay attention to is that these proxy files accumulate over time on your C drive. You need to go and find the relevant folder. And since these temporary proxy files are not automatically deleted and remain there, you should go and manually delete those proxy files every few months or whenever you notice your C drive is getting full. All right. Another way to import videos is to select the folder where your desired videos are located and simply drag and drop it like this inside the software. And again, it will ask you if you want this question not to be repeated. You can check this option and select option 1. So any file you want to use in creating your video clip, you can import here. You can even import images as well. In the same way, for example, I'll go and import a sample image here so I can add it to the video clip as well. So according to the order of the clip you want to create, you bring in the videos and place them on their respective tracks. At first, down here, you can see that there are two tracks. One is the video track and the other is the audio track. You can add new tracks here by right-clicking in this area and selecting add video track or add audio track. But for now, we don't need that. And this one video track is enough for us. So I take my file, drag it, and drop it onto the desired track. It asks whether you want to keep the file's resolution or keep the project's resolution. You can also set and change the project's resolution or settings within Filmora itself. I'll show you in a moment where you can make these changes. I want to keep the original resolution of the video itself, and actually you can also change the project's resolution settings from this section. When you select Change Project Aspect Ratio, this section will open up for you, and you can actually change the overall project settings here. If you click Set as Default, your settings will remain this way permanently, and every time you import a video, it will ask you whether to apply these settings to it or to use the video's own settings instead. So I'll set this as default and change it. Now my video is quite long and I'm only going to keep a part of it so that my processing doesn't take too much time. So I'll just keep a small section of this video. As you can see, this is how it looks in practice. Now I want to cut a part of this video. I grab this marker with the scissors icon on it by left clicking with the mouse, move it like this and drop it wherever I want, then click on it once. By doing this, my video gets cut at that point. It's very simple. Okay, now I'll press Ctrl+Z to undo it. We want to do this a bit more precisely and see more details. We want to see more frames. In this section, there's a zoom option, and by increasing the zoom level, I can see more frames. As you can see, now my cursor moves much more slowly, and I can cut my video with greater precision. So just like that. For example, here where this lady enters my frame and then she leaves, from here I only want the part where this lady is not in my frame. So from the moment she enters, I make a cut, and then when she has left, I make another cut. Now let's watch and see how the result turned out. She comes in from here, there's a cut for a moment, and then it connects again. All right, so I'll zoom out again so you can see the entire track. To zoom out, you can either use this option or hold down the control key and scroll the mouse wheel backward. If you hold Control and scroll the wheel back, the track zooms out like this. So I mentioned that I don't need this part and I want to delete it. I select it. See, by clicking on the track, I can select the track. It gets highlighted in white, showing that the track is selected. I select it and press delete, and the track is removed. I go to the track I'm working on, zoom in on it, and I'll explain the available features to you one by one. So as you can see, my track has two parts. It has a video part and an audio part, and I can separate these two from each other. Please note that in this tutorial, I want to quickly go over just the main elements for you without getting into too many details. This software has more advanced features, but I'm not going to cover those today. I just want to introduce the main elements to you in this short tutorial. So I want to separate the audio from this video. I right click and there's an option. If I select the detach audio option like this, the audio will be separated from the video. Well, this is one way I can completely separate the audio from a video. For example, I only want to keep the audio and delete the video. This way, if you want to export only the audio, if you just want to have an MP3 output, you separate the audio, delete the video, and then move on. From the export section, select the MP3 option. You see, by default, it's usually set to MP4. All you need to do here is select MP3 and export, and it will only give you the music. Okay, I'll press Ctrl plus Z to bring my video back. I'll press Ctrl plus Z again. Sometimes you might want to mute your track. You don't want its sound to play at all, and you don't necessarily need to detach and delete its audio file. One way to do this is to stand on the track. See, this green line indicates the volume level on the video, and if I drag it down and stick it to the bottom, no sound will be heard anymore when this clip is played. Now if I drag it back up, and you can make these same volume adjustments here as well. There's an option here in the audio section where you can actually change its volume here. Yes, if you open the adjustment section here, you can increase or decrease the volume this way. All right, now we get to this part, but for now I don't want to go into that section, and for now I have the quick access options right here. Let me explain to you. Another way to mute your track is to go to your video track and click on the speaker icon here to mute it, and if you click again, it will unmute. Right. And there's another option here called lock. Where is this used? For example, I click on the ID again, and I want to work on a part of this clip where there's some audio. I just want to delete the audio and I don't want to delete the video. So I lock the video track. Then I go to the audio track. I delete the audio from the specific part that I don't want. I delete it like this, and pay attention to this. I will mute the audio in this specific manner, like this, so that I do not have that distracting sound present on my video clip within that particular section. Be careful. If I completely delete this, the audio file will actually snap back down here, and then I have to move it back to its original place. Or as you saw, it's enough to just lower the volume of the selected track until it's completely muted. Another feature available here is that, for example, you can unlock a part of your video. What does this eye icon mean? If you click on this eye icon, it will hide the entire track from view. You've placed a file, added a section, or imported a composition. For example, I'll bring in a track. First, I need to define a video track. I'm going to add an extra video track. It was created up here, and I'll drag it and place it above. Let me show it to you like this. Because by default, the top track is always displayed. Look at the lower track, this track, and the second track that I imported. Okay, I imported it onto this first track. So when I'm playing the video, as it reaches the second track, it switches to the second track. It displays the second track. So keep in mind, it's always the top track. Whenever you add a new track, the top track is always shown in this software. So you need to be aware of that. As I mentioned, there's a part of this top track that I actually imported into my clip in such a way that I don't want it to be displayed. Well, I don't want the entire track to be displayed. So temporarily, I click on this eye icon. Look, if I play it now, it shows the top track. But if I click this eye icon, it no longer shows the top track and instead shows the bottom track. So that's the use of this feature. Now I'll take this same track, drag it down here because I want to show you how to combine them. How do we actually apply effects and other elements to these? Well, among these sections, the most important menu here is the audio tab. I'll skip stock media, I won't go into it. And instead I'll select the music track from the audio tab. As you can see here, you have a large number of music tracks, many of which are copyright free and have been generated by artificial intelligence. You can easily use them for creating your video clips. And if you want to upload your video to YouTube, you won't face any copyright issues. I'll just select this first piano track and listen to a bit of it. If I like it, or I can go and play another audio track and listen to it, and if I like it, I can import it. In the section I have in mind, so as you noticed, importing it is just like this. I drag and drop it and place it exactly where I want to import it. Alright. So we've imported the song in this way as well. The next tab is the title tab. In case you want to write a title, again, it's very simple. Just grab it and drag it in the same way. And for the title, we need to have a new video track. So I'll show this video track so that it's visible like this. And for example, I'll take this title. I carefully select it and then gently drag one of these as a sample. I then proceed to drop it directly onto my video footage, just like that. Alright. This way my title is added, and when we click on the title, in this section I can write my desired text, change its font, or change its color, and so on. Okay, now let's move on from the title discussion. The next option after the title is transition. Here I want to transition from one video to another. For example, here I want to go from this video to the next one. I don't want to jump into the next video abruptly. I want to enter with a transition. So I go to the transition tab and it loads. Transitions. There are a lot of transitions. For example, I use this transition tab because I'm moving from one place to another. So I try to find transitions like this. Well, when you add the transition, a window opens up here. You can choose whether your transition overlaps both tracks, or if it only applies to the first track, or just to the second track. Now, what happens if it only applies to the second track? In this case, if the end of your first track is an important part, and you don't want it to be disrupted or lost by the transition, you can do this. We won't be dealing with the next options, effect and filter. All right, let's come to this section. In the settings of the track itself and the video we have, that's actually what we're working on. We select our video. Now, we want to apply some additional settings to it, like color adjustment, movement speed, and things like that. The most important one is the clip's color settings, which I access by selecting the track and then going to the color section. I go in and actually apply my color changes so that my video looks better. I usually increase the vibrance and saturation, and depending on your camera, you might need to adjust other settings as well. You can adjust the contrast or other aspects as well. I usually make these 3 or 4 adjustments: vibrance, saturation, shadow, and sharpness. Just like that. And in this way, the quality of my video improves. I do the same thing for the second video as well. Sharpness, shadow, and saturation. Pay attention. Of course, these adjustment changes may not be optimal for you, and in fact, these settings are optimized for the camera I use to record these videos. If you recorded your videos with different cameras in a different way or for other purposes, you need to figure out which of these settings are more suitable for you. By changing them, you can clearly see how they affect your video. And a very important point is that changing these settings, in fact, changing the color settings, will always increase the size of your video. Please pay attention to this point. The next option is track speed. For example, I want my second track to play at a higher speed. Well, we have two methods. One is uniform speed and the other is speed ramping. Uniform speed is actually a constant speed. For example, we set it very high. For instance, I set it to speed 3. So my track will play at that speed. In this way, it doesn't even reach the transition. Like this. And that's it. Well, another thing I can do is reset this. By clicking a reset icon, it goes back to default. Another thing we can do is work with speed ramping. Speed ramping doesn't apply a constant speed to your video. Instead, it creates a ramp effect. That means, for example, it might start by increasing the speed, then slow it down, or start slow, then speed up, and then slow down again. Here you can see several ready-made ramps, but you can also create your own custom ramp using the customize option. But I'll choose one of these to show you how it works. Once you've selected the track, pick one of these ramps, just like this. Now, I will play the video for you so that you can clearly see how this particular speed ramp truly works. Well, since there wasn't a moving element here, let me shrink this title and move it away. At first it wasn't very clear, so I'll apply the same speed ramping to the first track as well, so you can see exactly how people's movements change. You can see it. The playback speed of the track was slow at first. You can see it while it's playing. Here you can observe, look at this part. Take a look at this red line. You can see exactly which part of the track is playing at what speed. And for example, if there's a section you want to slow down even more, you can grab this circle on the ramp and drag it lower. Or if there's a part that's too fast, you can move it back. You move this one back, like this. Now let's see how the track has changed. Just like that. That was speed ramping. And the next important element is audio. So for example, I want to use this audio, this music that I've placed here. Let me delete one of the audio tracks and bring this music here. I'll also delete this empty space and attach this here. I want the ambient sound to gradually fade out. So I use the fade out option. If I set it to 3 seconds here, by entering the number 3, over 3 seconds, my computer keyboard isn't currently working, so I will manually increase its value myself. The reason I couldn't type the number 3 here is that the duration of this clip itself is actually less than 1.8 seconds. And I was trying to set its fade out to 3. Naturally, that wasn't possible. Now, if I set it to half, you'll see that my keyboard types just fine. So it wasn't the keyboard's fault. All right, so over half a second, this ambient sound will fade out, meaning the sound will gradually decrease. And now I want this music to fade in over 2 seconds, meaning it will gradually increase and will enter the scene. Let's go take a look. Just like that. And that's that. Another important topic is cropping the video. For example, you might want to show only a specific frame from the video you have here and crop out the surrounding areas. You select the clip and then choose the crop option in this section. Follow my mouse cursor. Here you select crop and you can easily crop the video. This way you only show the center part. Now pay attention, in this mode I can only move and resize this rectangle, but I can't just reduce its width or just its height. Both the width and height decrease together. Basically the aspect ratio is locked. So if I want to reduce just one of the dimensions, I need to come here and select the custom option. Once I select custom, I can adjust the width and height however I want. And if I apply this way my clip gets cropped. And since, as you saw, when the width and height were locked, it would automatically fit the dimensions of the screen. But because I cropped it using the custom method, now part of my screen is black. So to fill this in, I come to this section. There's a green circle down here. When I hover over it, a double-sided arrow appears. I drag this to fit the video to my frame, just like that. Now another feature available right here is in the crop sectionlet. We go back into it. It's called pan and zoom. You can set an area for your video to zoom into that specific part. For example, I select this rectangle, I apply it. When your video is playing, let me remove its speed adjustment. I'll set the speed ramp to none so it lasts a bit longer, and you can see it. Take a look. It's zooming in on the specific area I defined, just like this. Well, this is also a very commonly used feature. And for example, I want to reverse the same video. To play it backwards, I select the track. I come here, there's a quick access option for changing the track speed settings. I click on it and very easily I select the reverse option here. Now my track will play in reverse. Like this. Now allow me to carefully remove that zoom effect so that you can much better and more clearly observe that the audio track is indeed playing in the reverse direction. See, now it's moving backwards. We're almost done. Another very useful feature is blurring. Let's go to the effects section. For example, I want a part of my image, a section of my track to be blurred. In the effects section, all you need to do is type it in there. There are a lot of blur effects here and you can use many of them. For example, I pick one of these and after typing blur, I select one of them and just like before, drag and drop here. And I just want, for example, the end part of my video to be blurred. See, now it's a bit blurry. Now I can also change the amount of blur like this, like this. Now there are other options that blur even more. If you want to completely blur the image, there are many other effects that allow you to increase the intensity of the blur even further. This software has really great features and you can easily, for example, you don't have to, for example, if you only want to hide this lady's face in your image, you don't have to blur the entire picture. For this purpose, there's an option called eye track actually. You select your video and define the part of the image where you don't want the person to be visible. The software can then track her face. So as long as she's in the frame, it will keep tracking her face. Then you apply a blur effect to that area so that only her face is blurred and she can't be recognized. Now, whatever your purpose is, you blur that part and the rest of your image remains unchanged. I won't explain that here today because it would make the video too long. We'll move on, and in the export section, there are also some settings that I'll introduce to you as well, and then I'll wrap up the video. Because the purpose of this video was just to introduce the main elements of this software so you can quickly learn and create a basic clip with it. There's another option here called sticker, which contains a lot of stickers, and you can add them to your video using the same drag and drop method I mentioned. But I won't go into that any further. I'll move on to this section. Now we want to export our project from the software. Basically, we select the export option, and in this section, a series of settings will open up for us. Usually the recommended option will generally give you a good export unless your specific goal is to have a video track with very high resolution. In any case, it's recommended to choose the higher quality option. This option determines the quality of your frames. And in this section, you can only select the output file's resolution and also choose its frame rate. You don't have any other options here. And as for the output format, which nowadays is mostly MP4, because it gives you a very small file size and also provides you with acceptable quality. But if you want to make more adjustments to your video, you can go to your output and click on the settings option in this section. Here you can set the resolution, frame rate, and the encoding method, depending on the platform where you want to publish your video. You can also specify the bitrate and choose the method for it. If your video is going to be displayed on a television, on a laptop, on a computer, on a desktop, or on a phone, well, the settings are different and you can choose them based on your needs. You can set your video to be either SDR or HDR, select the settings here. Or if your camera isn't HDR, it's really not recommended to set this to HDR at all. But if your camera is HDR, then it's better to take advantage of your camera's capabilities and set these settings to HDR as well. Of course, this also depends more on that, your target device that you want to play the video on, and other settings that are actually more technical and related to the method of encoding video and audio. I won't get into that. I apply all of these, and the most important thing is that you need to specify the destination folder where you want to save your file in this section. Choose a name for it, and then click on export. It says that for a certain part, actually a title that I used, I need to pay for it. The title that I entered here, it says that I wasn't paying attention and used one of the options that requires payment. In other words, I have to buy those separately from the videos. So I say, for example, remove it and then export. It removed the title section that I would have had to pay for, and now it's exporting. After this is finished, an option appears that lets me go directly to this section, click on Open Folder, and open the folder where the file has been saved.